Every 10 feet, they're hitting these platforms of rotting oak logs. They get down to 90 feet, but then they find something very different.
It's a cross.
That's a cross.
It's heavy, too.
Oh my gosh, I mean, that is an old cross.
The skeptics always said it was a sinkhole. Geologists argued it was a natural formation, a cruel trick of nature that fooled generations of treasure hunters. But in 2025, the island finally silenced the doubters for good. A network of man-made pathways, a priceless gemstone, and a reanalyzed cross proved that something incredible was deliberately hidden here, centuries ago. The first shovel strikes ground. The story that sparked this whole obsession began way back in 1895. Picture it. 3 teenagers, Daniel McGinnis, John Smith, and Anthony Vaughn, were just messing around on the island when they found something weird. Under a huge oak tree, there was a circular dip in the ground, about 13 feet wide. A big branch above it had been sawed off and showed marks from a rope and pulley. To these men, it was like a giant X marking the spot. It screamed buried treasure. Driven by dreams of pirate gold, they started digging. Just 2 feet down, they hit a layer of carefully laid flagstones, which was super strange for a random spot in the woods. 10 feet down, they hit a platform of oak logs sealed into the clay walls. Then another at 20 feet and another at 30. Each layer of logs made them more certain they were about to become rich, but all they found was more dirt. Word got around, and by 1804, the Onslow Company showed up with more money and better gear. They dug past where the boys stopped, hitting those same log platforms every 10 feet. Then, at 90 feet down, they found it. A stone slab covered in strange symbols.
When they reached the level of 90 feet, they found a stone inscribed with some weird symbols that they couldn't translate or interpret.
One of the crew later swore it said 40 feet below, 2 million pounds lie buried. Before they could find out, disaster struck. Water gushed into the pit, flooding it almost to the top. It was like the pit was designed to protect itself, an ingenious booby trap. This turned the dig from a simple treasure hunt into a battle against a brilliant engineer. Who could have built such a thing? Theories flew. Was it the pirate Captain Kidd? Lost French royal jewels? Or maybe, just maybe, the lost treasure of the Knights Templar? They had no idea their simple search for gold would unleash a centuries-long obsession, one that would claim fortunes and even lives. That first taste of mystery in the early 19th century set off a circus of treasure hunting that lasted for the next 200 years. But with the hunt came ruin, tragedy, and some of the craziest scandals you've ever heard of. After the Onslow Company gave up, the Truro Company tried their luck in 1849.
In 1849, a new search group called the Truro Company also fell victim to deep underground flooding.
They drilled past the 90-foot level and pulled up samples that seemed to prove the legend. Splinters of an old chest, bits of a gold chain, and pieces of parchment. But they too were defeated by the relentless flooding. The obsession grew, and so did the desperation. In 1861, the Oak Island Association brought in heavy steam-powered pumps. Just when they thought they were making progress, a pump boiler exploded, killing a worker instantly. This was the first death in the hunt, sparking the dark prophecy that 7 people must die before the island gives up its treasure. It was a prophecy that would tragically come true. The allure of the island even pulled in a future U.S. president. In 1909, a young Franklin D. Roosevelt joined an expedition, convinced he would be the one to solve it. He spent a summer working with the crew, but they found nothing of substance, though he remained obsessed with the island for the rest of his life. The hunt was also plagued by bitter scandals. Throughout the early 20th century, rival companies fought over excavation rights, often sabotaging each other's work and spreading false rumors. One of the biggest scandals involved the infamous inscribed stone. While the story of its message fueled the hunt for decades, the stone itself mysteriously disappeared around 1919. Many historians now believe the inscription was likely a hoax invented by early promoters to attract investors whose money would eventually vanish into the pit. Then came the single deadliest day in the island's history. In 1965, Robert Restall, his son, and 2 partners were working on the site. Robert was overcome by toxic gas at the bottom of a shaft. His son scrambled down to save him, only to be overcome himself. 2 other workers followed in a frantic rescue attempt and also perished. In a single afternoon, the death toll jumped from 2 to 6. The curse was now just 1 life away from being fulfilled. With 6 dead, countless fortunes lost, and whispers of faked evidence, the island seemed cursed to keep its secret forever. Until 2 brothers from Michigan arrived with a childhood dream and modern technology that would change the game. Rick and Marty Lagina from Michigan weren't your typical treasure hunters. Rick was the passionate believer who first read about Oak Island in a Reader's Digest in 1965 and never let the mystery go. Marty was the practical, wealthy engineer who had the money to fund his brother's dream. In 2006, they bought a controlling stake in the island, determined to solve the puzzle once and for all. Their approach was totally different. Instead of just digging blindly, they brought in a war room of experts and the best technology money could buy. They used seismic testing and ground-penetrating radar to see underground, water dye tests to trace the flood tunnels, and massive steel caissons to hold back the earth. They weren't just digging, they were conducting a massive scientific investigation. Then, in 2014, everything exploded. They launched the TV show The Curse of Oak Island on the History Channel, and suddenly their private obsession became a global phenomenon. Millions of people tuned in each week, watching every top pocket find and debating every theory.
Great booby trap system was put in place. Everybody wants to get at it. Everybody's invested in this.
The show's narrator, with his dramatic could-it-be questions, made the hunt feel immediate and exciting. The show did more than just make them famous. It brought in more resources and more experts than ever before. Under the full glare of the TV cameras, they started making incredible finds. Human bone fragments from deep in the Money Pit area, 1 European, 1 Middle Eastern, a Roman coin suggesting pre-Columbian contact, and a mysterious lead cross found in an area called Smith's Cove that dated to the medieval period. Each find was another piece of a puzzle that was getting bigger and weirder than anyone could have guessed. But all the technology in the world was just a tool, and it was a soggy, forgotten swamp that was about to provide the first earth-shattering clue of 2025. The swamp gives up its secrets. The breakthrough moment that changed everything aired on March 11, 2025. The episode was called Channeling the Solution, and it delivered. For seasons, the team had been investigating the strange triangular-shaped swamp. Scientific analysis showed it wasn't always a swamp. Hundreds of years ago, it was a man-made cove. And in 2025, they found out why. As they dug into the muck, they didn't just find a few random stones. They uncovered an entire network of stone pathways. This wasn't a simple dirt trail, it was a carefully built stone road like an ancient highway snaking beneath the swamp. The road was wide and sturdy, clearly designed to move something very heavy from a shoreline docking area toward the Money Pit. This discovery was massive. It proved that a huge organized operation took place on the island centuries ago. You don't build an underwater stone highway just for fun. This was evidence of a massive engineering project, one that would have required a large workforce and incredible planning. Ian Spooner, the team's go-to scientist, confirmed that the swamp was deliberately created to hide this roadway after it had served its purpose.
That peat layer is contemporaneous with the road, so if there's anything, it's right in here to me.
Core samples and carbon dating of wood found alongside the road placed its construction sometime in the 15th century, hundreds of years before the Money Pit was discovered. This finding completely blew away the old theories about pirates burying a single chest. This was something bigger, an operation on an industrial scale. The pathways were the infrastructure, the logistical network for whatever was brought to the island. The pathways proved how something was moved, but as the team explored another part of the island, a single tiny discovery would begin to reveal who was behind it all. While the swamp road was a game changer, the same episode delivered another, more personal clue. Over on Lot 5 on the western side of the island, the team unearthed something that sparkled. At first, it looked like a pretty piece of glass, but after it was cleaned and sent to an expert, the results came back and they were stunning. It wasn't glass, it was a professionally cut and polished high-quality gemstone. This wasn't a coin that could have been dropped by a sailor, this was an object of serious wealth. A gemologist confirmed it was likely of medieval European origin and would have belonged to someone very, very important. A nobleman, a high-ranking knight, or royalty. Marty Lagina, the eternal skeptic, asked the question on everyone's mind. Who brings a gem like that to a swampy island in the middle of nowhere? The answer was chillingly obvious. Someone with something so valuable to hide that one of their own, a person of great wealth and status, had to personally oversee the operation. This gemstone connected the massive engineering project in the swamp to a person of power. It suggested that the leaders of this secret mission were on the island themselves, not just sending workers to do their bidding. The find shifted the focus from a simple treasure deposit to a full-blown clandestine settlement, led by wealthy and powerful individuals. A gem proved wealth, but it was an old discovery re-examined with 21st century science that would finally provide a name for these mysterious visitors and blow the lid off the entire history of the New World. The Templar connection is confirmed. The final piece of the puzzle clicked into place when the team revisited the most important artifact they had ever found, the lead cross from Smith's Cove. Discovered back in Season 5, the cross was always special. It was crudely made with a square hole at the top and looked ancient. But in 2025, new technology allowed for a definitive analysis that was nothing short of a historical bombshell. Using advanced lead isotope testing, scientists were able to trace the exact origin of the lead used to make the cross. The results were undeniable. The lead came from a specific mine in southern France, and historical records confirm that this exact mine was owned and operated by one group during the 12th and 13th centuries, the Knights Templar. Suddenly, everything started to make sense. For years, people thought Oak Island was all about pirate gold, buried deep underground by some long-lost crew. But what if that idea was completely wrong? What if the real story was even bigger, even older, and far more powerful? Back in the year 1307, something huge happened in France. The king turned on a group called the Knights Templar. These men weren't just warriors. They were rich, smart, and deeply connected to the church. The king ordered their arrest and took their money. But something was missing. The most important treasure they owned, holy relics and gold beyond imagination, was never found. According to legend, their ships vanished from the port of La Rochelle. They sailed away, carrying everything they had. But where did they go? Now, jump ahead a few hundred years to Oak Island. A strange cross is found, and it's from the exact time the Templars disappeared. A swampy road nearby is just as old, pointing to the years right after the Templars vanished from history. Everything lines up. The timing, the items, even the location, it all starts to click. The more people looked, the clearer the picture became. The Knights Templar were brilliant engineers. They knew how to build secret tunnels, hidden traps, and strongholds that could last forever. They had the money, the skill, and the reason to hide something where no one would think to look. In the New World, long before Columbus even dreamed of sailing west. What if Oak Island wasn't just a mystery, it was a mission? A plan carefully carried out by men who knew they were being hunted. They didn't bury pirate gold. They created a hidden vault to protect something far more important. Maybe it was gold. Maybe it was ancient relics. Maybe it was proof of something the world was never supposed to see. A tiny gemstone was found on Lot 5, something so rare it likely belonged to a top Templar leader. Human bones were discovered too, one from Europe, one from the Middle East. Were they a knight and his servant? Or two members of a secret brotherhood buried beside their treasure to guard it forever? Suddenly, Oak Island wasn't about pirates at all. It was about power, faith, secrets, and a treasure so dangerous it had to be hidden from the world. The Knights Templar may have escaped with their lives and their fortune and built their final sanctuary in a place no one would ever think to look. The origin of the treasure is solved, but does a discovery that rewrites history belong to its finders or to the world? Like and subscribe for more mysteries.